Hello, everybody. How's it been? A happy New Year, everyone. May it be a lot more healthy and a lot better than the last. I am back again after a little bit of a Christmassy break to recharge a little bit and to have some off time things. And as you can see, we are back again. Also been even longer since anything was posted on YouTube. That is about to change. The stream is going up on the tube, and for the purposes of a more comfortable, more secure stream, I am running the Stream Beats playlists. Maybe a little bit on the boring side for some, but with the new bots that will be monitoring the live streams and having the ability to straight out ban streams during live sessions, I think it's just a better option to keep it safe for the time being. Until things get a little bit more regulated. Also, it would be less work for me to mute things for the YouTube uploads and all that. Also, a better viewing experience for you were you to check the VODs in Twitch. So, with that being said and out of the way, how is everyone doing? Anything of new? Anything of old? Anything at all? What's up, guys? How's it going? So, the way the camera is looking is giving me a weird looking something like a bald spot, which isn't really there, but so anyway, as it has been a while, I'm not gonna go for the detailing of models that we have halfway-ish done. So these are ready for detailing and layering. I've got 6 of those, but let's see if the old painting hand still remembers how to hold a brush. So let's start off with something a little bit simpler, something that'll give us a little bit more time to chat about. Not worry about stuff, and that'll be the last 4 linemen for the Bretonnians / Imperial Nobility team for the Blood Bowl. Right. So let's start off with some things we can knock out fairly easily and quickly, such as the tights. As usual, if you spot me having weird camera angles, do let me know, as as well as things like a shittier than usual audio. I'm still playing around with the new mic, so I'm not sure if it's set up correctly. Can see that it is working though, so at the very least I'm sure that you can hear me, which is a step in the right direction. How did you spend your holidays, if you celebrated at all? Did you make any New Year's resolutions? Be it hobby related or not, don't matter none. I used my stream and work off time catch up on quite a bit of movie watching and video games. Turns out I was missing those quite a bit. One of the New Year's resolutions would be to diversify just a little bit more, not get such tunnel vision. As the painting projects will be happening just a little bit slower, so I can have time to do other things as well. The streaming schedule as it is will continue in the same vein, which is Monday and Wednesday at around this time until I am still home-based, and if and when I return to the office, we'll move into starting like half an hour later than now, which is essentially back to where we were when we started. So no huge changes are expected. Dream projects wise, I think I will be alternating between fantasy and sci-fi stuff. So the next thing I'll be painting isn't gonna be Blood Bowl related or fantasy game related. It is going to be something sci-fi, and I think it's high time that that is the Gears of War miniatures. Something that I've been raving on and on about for quite a while. So that's probably what's going to be coming up next. Currently, I have no intention of buying any new models for the time being, simply because the backlog has accumulated significantly during the past year. I haven't made that much of a dent as I had thought. Fortunately, that may mean that my involvement with the local painters community might be even scarcer than it has been for a while now, for which I do feel very bad, but it's just does come across as a little bit of an extra responsibility that so manage time. But, you know, slowly does it. Ease into the year. Work-wise, life-wise, hobby-wise. everything wise, just take a chill pill and let things slowly get to where they can be without any overcommitments or anything. Whenever possible, that is. Within the local community, there has been a little bit of movement, not too much, but enough to create some ideas, possibly some other streams, or recording some videos exclusively for YouTube. Mostly Blood Bowl second season how-to videos in local language or games. All of that. Means I need to find a decent video editing software. If you are aware of any such software, I would very much appreciate it if you could guide me towards it. Preferably free, since again this is still within the confines of purely amateurish extension of the hobby. Now, video games, would you like me to try once again with the streaming of games? If so, wondering what it kind of looks like, you can check out on the YouTube channel where you can find the archives. I have a full playthrough of Fallout 1, a few sessions of The Surge, and a few sessions of Wasteland 2. I would like to finish up with Wasteland 2. I've been checking out the new one, the third one in the series. Looks pretty sweet and can be reliably and comfortably played with a controller, which is something that I discovered is kind of cool for prolonged sessions. And in that train of thought, the games I've been playing during the holidays has been the Dead Space series. Series of games that I really wanted to play a long time ago, and were sitting in my library, my Steam library, for ages. Played the first one a little bit a while back, but for some reason I went into a very stupid loop where I wanted to optimize my gameplay. As a result, I restarted several times. necessary in this game. I treated it more like a Resident Evil game, where you don't know if you've done something that isn't going to let you progress to a certain point. Turns out this is not how the game was designed at all. Quite the contrary, it's very lenient compared to those games, and as a result, I had a lot of fun being scared shitless by the necromorphs, following the story of Mr. Isaac Clarke. So as a result, I beat the first and the second game, and I am currently close to ending the third one. This was another pretty unpleasant thing to discover, that they weren't like 50-hour games. First and second were around a 20-hour mark, 25-hour mark, so perfect for a working man. Something to play on the side after work, something that you can reliably beat within a week or so. Couple weeks of regular, not too long sittings. Linear games, so you get the full scope of the story without having to grind too much. Very, very, very strong recommendation if you want to play a lighter version, gameplay-wise, than classic Resident Evil, or something closer to Resident Evil 4, but within a sci-fi setting. Well, a more sci-fi setting. Third one is definitely weirder than the first two in terms of the gameplay. Does change things around quite a bit. Moves closer to Resident Evil 6. So a lot more with the action and a lot less with the scares. Also, strong recommendation for cooperative play, which kind of annoys me when they did that, but they did treat it better than in the RE series, if you ask me, in that you can totally single player the shit out of it. You don't even have to deal with AI co-op partner, which is great. Pretty decent story-wise. Sometimes it doesn't make too much sense. Some things are a little bit obfuscated, but still, it's alright. There are 2 animated movies associated with the game. One is a prequel to the first game, and one is a sequel to the first game, or a prequel to the second, whatever you want to call it. Actually, a prequel to the second is better because most of the characters mentioned are mentioned in the second one and not in the first. So yeah, pretty cool. I prefer the first one because of the art style being a bit more consistent. But definitely both have their charms, and they're not necessary in any way. They don't give any additional information, just build the world and the setting a little bit more, which isn't bad. Again, if you're looking for RE Light, a good set of games to go through. Third one being a little bit longer and a little bit different gameplay wise. You can definitely tell, well, I can definitely tell now that I've gone back to the series. And the thing I've been always talking about when mentioning the Surge, that this is the Dead Space is a very important inspiration source for the Surge 1. My extreme dislike of the fact that, and disappointment of the fact that literally not a single games reviewer or journalist ever mentioned that, which kind of buried the game, well, a certain aspect of the game. %, focusing on the Dark Souls references and stylistics and gameplay analogies, as opposed to acknowledging and delving deeper into Dead Space ones as well. As a result, we got Surge 2, which has affected out of Dead Space references, since they were not acknowledged and therefore not appreciated. As a matter of fact, some of the things that you could argue are inspired by Dead Space were pointed out as faults of the game, which is, in my opinion, absolute bullshit. You know, in order to make your video game review watchable, you need to compare the game with what's hip and what's now. Apparently, for the next 50,000 years, that game is going to be Dark Souls. Which I'm not a great fan of with, but it's besides. Again, Dead Space series get a good recommendation from me. Movie-wise, I went through all of the entire series of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. Everything culminating, of course, with the absolute beauty that is Freddy vs. Jason. A lovely, campy, funny, gory little movie with a killer soundtrack. So going back to those series was very, very fun. As a matter of fact, while I had watched the Friday the 13th series, I hadn't watched the Nightmare on Elm Street ones. No idea why. But I am now glad that I did, and I did fill that void. My movie watching repertoire. From there, of course, it was a few more horror movies. I binged quite a bit, so I'll be lying if I said I remembered each and every one I watched. Still, I rewatched some classics like the second Dread movie and whatnot. Finally got around to watch Brazil, which was recommended by uh, my moderator here, one of the local gaming community, Hubert. And I gotta say that like if you take the specifics of the movie, it's a fairly standard movie, but when you watch it from when you take into account the actual twists and turns that it has, the thing that it introduces, general like in filmmaking tropes, and the time when it was made, it is truly groundbreaking. Sadly, since then, we have watched these tropes in quite a few interpretations. And so when you go back to watch this movie, they don't strike you as hard as they would have if you had initially seen them in this movie in particular. For instance, the setting is very much reminiscent of something along the lines of City of Lost Children, and I would say Metropolis, but it's not exactly Metropolisian. And the twist you've seen in things like Repo Man. And there was another movie I saw recently that had that twist. I don't remember which one it was. To an extent, you could say Inception, but not really. In Inception, it's a bit more diluted, whereas in Repo Man, it's closer to the one in Brazil. Definitely a good watch, however. Arty recommendation, even if just for the sake of seeing where all of these, I wouldn't say well established, but kind of hard hitting and classically impactful twists and tropes have come from. I also went back to a series that I had started to watch a long time ago when it was coming out. That is Ash vs. Evil Dead, which, if you're not aware, that is a series that follows 3 movies by Sam Raimi from a billion years ago. Some very cult classics. Evil Dead 1, 2, and to an extent 3, although the third one is kind of taking a very different direction. with the legend of an actor that is Bruce Campbell, also known as the Bee King. And years ago, there was a series released that followed his story afterwards. And for whatever reason, I watched it up until like the start of the second season out of the total three that came out. No idea why I stopped. You just got or something. Yeah, I'm glad that I went back and caught up with it because it's pretty good. It's definitely close to being one of a kind in its presentation, which is awesome. Like such a gory thing to be made into a, I think it's a TV series. Yeah, but it's pretty bloody and it's very, like it's pretty close to body horror, like the one that the types that we would see in Cronenberg stuff and in Asian body horror stuff, and gore films, which that's pretty gutsy to have. Um, in serialized mode. Um, Quite a bit of humor, although not really the haha humor that you would break out laughing, but it's definitely something that brings a smile to your face and lightens the entirety of the mood, which, depending on what kind of horror movie you would like to be watching, may or may not be to your liking. I personally enjoy having some humor in my horror. But again, pretty much a solid completion. If you like something campy and schlocky, that is definitely something to do on your list, as well as, of course, the original three movies, including the remake that came out. It does not star Bruce Campbell, and the story is a little bit on the different side, but it's an extremely well made remake. Probably one of the better remakes movies, like in general. Like, it's really good. Definitely something to keep an eye out for in case you haven't seen it. With them, I really wanted to make a marathon out of Leprechaun. Sadly, apart from the first one, I couldn't find the others, and it does become a crazy fun fest after the third one, I think. So the first and second ones are, while humorous, don't really have a lot of character to them apart from the actual monster. But when we go to third and fourth ones, it goes out full on insane. I wanted to see them, but again, availability was limited. I did rewatch the first Hatchet. Hatchet is a fairly, I think it's fairly unknown in terms of horror slasher franchises. But it has some very good ideas and generally a good approach to it. Again, leaning more towards the comedy vibe rather than being something more serious and traditional. It's fairly low budget, but that doesn't hurt it a bit. I only watched the first one because I think with each uh, iteration gets a bit worse, and I kind of didn't want to ruin my impression of it. Maybe I should go back. Also, it has several cameos by very classic slasher actors. For instance, even in the first Hatchet, you see cameos by the actors that have played Freddy Krueger and Jason from Friday the 13th. So with Freddy Krueger, it has always been a single actor, discounting the remakes, but they are not good anyway. It has played him, and with Jason, there is one actor that has played Jason 4 times, which is the most amount of times anyone has played Jason. He is considered to be the definitive Jason. It was very nice seeing him in this movie as well, even though they are very small roles. I was very pleasantly surprised to see both of them. Something that might be a good idea is to look into the filmography of those two. So for Jason, that would be Kane Hodder. And as much as I struggle to remember the dude who played Freddy Krueger, I can't. But again, in his case, it's just him, so probably not a hard thing to find out. Because they've been starring in a lot of slasher horrors, some of which more known than others, but still. It'd be nice to see them in other roles, with Kane Hodder, of course, being also a stuntman and stunt choreographer. That's gonna have to wait for a while. Again, quite a few things I did watch didn't leave a lasting impression. Tried a new Netflix series, Home Sweet Home, or no, just Sweet Home. It's a Japanese series? Question mark. But it definitely wasn't what I was expecting, and in not a good way. I kind of stopped the first few episodes. Might come back to it at some point. Definitely not something I am holding my breath for. One thing that really brought attention was Norseman. I have no idea why. I always thought it was a fairly serious, very Vikings-like series, where it turns out it's more like a parody of it. fairly good one at that. Interestingly enough, Norsemen, unlike Vikings, is made by mostly Norwegians, I think. I don't know. Like, definitely people from Northern Europe. And they do poke very, sometimes very thin, sometimes not so thin. Cute fun at some of their customs, some of the way their customs and traditions are depicted in different places, most notably, of course, Vikings, such as the whole Blood Eagle thing, which was debunked as having happened very, very rarely, if at all. And it was treated in the series like something that's kind of new fad and part of the traditions and stuff. I apologize. I will be off for just a moment or so. Back real soon. Sorry for that interruption, but my father is once again experiencing some issues with his computer, which naturally prompts 3 to 4 people to take turns trying to fix and understand the issue. You know, that's part for the course. Anyway. Yeah, so Norseman, if you want Vikings but funny, that has it in spades. It's interesting that it's in serialized format. Parodies such as these are usually a movie or two. It's odd to see them in the form of a TV series. That is most definitely what I'll be watching after the stream is done. So I got about a season-ish left. I feel stupid for having avoided it for so long. And I did actively avoid it. I didn't understand what it was, apparently. That is pretty much it. If something comes to mind... add it, talk about it. But no, I think that's about it. If you do feel like sharing what you did over your holidays, or what your New Year's resolutions were, or how they are going over until now, which is just 4 days into the year, but still, feel free to do so. Do not fear the YouTube comments if you are watching on the YouTube. And if we take things back to what is currently happening on the painting table, see, there isn't all that much or anything particularly shockingly innovative, original, or strikingly interesting and curious. I'm just laying down some base colors. As usual, starting from the inside out in order to limit the necessity of fixing things, although when you're just laying down base coats without actively working on the colors, it doesn't matter. So this whole thing is, if I were to start painting the piece itself, go over all of it, pull the highlights and the shadows, then yeah. In this case, the inward parts are smaller, and therefore I can go through them quicker, and therefore feel progress. So some visible progress to keep up my motivation. This guy has some facial hair, but I cannot tell what it is, so I have to think of it. Yeah, there are mustaches. No beard, okay, just a mustache. Fair enough, dude. Fair enough. And we'll see how far I can get today, and on Wednesday, might go back to the other dudes and keep up doing the detailing. Keep the ball rolling. Switching things around to avoid burnout. Focus, of course, being a issue, and since I haven't been looking too much at what I'm doing, I'm sorry if the image gets fuzzy. Let's monitor this, and I kind of just paint the way that I'm comfortable. As a result, me painting outside of the frame, and out of focus as well, because why not? There are movements where it goes down, sometimes it goes closer to the camera, and because I cannot trust autofocus to save my life, I have to gravitate around a virtual focal point. Were my eyesight more better, I would have placed the model down solidly on the painting table, and configured the exposure and focus based on a static image within, well, the z-axis would have been wise. However, I'll do that, so inherently the overall image of the stream and the overall quality stream image will always suffer. And I've been watching quite a little bit of videos related to vaping. To learn more about it, the different kinds there are, the different devices there are, to find the one that is most convenient to me. And what I'm currently using is pretty close. Optimal, but I would like to have one larger device to always keep at home, not to carry around. But I would use desktop-based device. And I think I did find one that I really like, however, it's not out for sale yet. So I'll wait. I'm pretty sure that it will become available locally, so I don't have to order online. But the only problem remains the atomizer. Odd attached to it, because for reasons that I cannot explain, the ones that are being supplied here locally follow the TPD standards, which is to say that they have 2 milliliter tanks, which for a more powerful device or a larger device becomes extremely inefficient. Currently, the tank that I have is 4.6 milliliters, and I have to refill it about twice a day. So I'm going through 2 tanks a day. For 2 milliliters, that would mean I have to refill it a lot more often, and since this is my oh yeah, okay, for stay-at-home mod, yeah, okay, that can work. It is still a bit on the annoying side, though. So finding a good sized atomizer has been a challenge. The mod I've already kind of chosen, I just wait for it. And that's it. I don't really want to get too deep into vaping stuff, because I think people are annoyed by it. If anyone, however, is interested, is wondering about it, please again, let me know. A wide variety of ways to get in touch, apart from the obvious chat and Twitch. Always reach me on Discord, although I haven't been too active lately. You can also reach me on my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, which I will bring up the links to in just a second, because I realize I haven't done that in a while. You can, of course, find links to all of them in the description in my About section of the channel. Still. I forget my commands. It's been so long already. Yep. There it is. My Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Where you can drop your comments, your critiques, and questions, whatever else you might feel like mentioning, should you want to get in touch. Discord, you can also post your in progress work, use it as a Pix dumping ground, or if you just want to keep me updated on your own projects. I'm always interested and curious to see what's up with you guys and girls. goes without saying. Like I mentioned, the next painting project will be the Gears of War miniatures on the board game, same name, based on a series of video games of the same name. The video game has finally found its way to Steam, following Microsoft easing up on the exclusivity of their titles, even though the one that is available, there are only two of them available on Steam. One is Gears 5, and the other is Gears Tactics. I'm interested in both of them, and over the Christmas holidays, Gears 5 was heavily discounted, like extremely heavily discounted. So I nabbed it. Let it stay and gather dust in my Steam library, but I'll get to it soon. But video game wise, I think the next thing after Dead Space, we will be going back to the Darksiders series. I have a unfinished session playthrough of Darksiders 1, the War Mastered Edition, which admittedly I had beaten, like the original first Darksiders, but it was a pirated copy, and this one is one I got on Steam, and it is the remastered version with the better graphics and whatnot, possibly more stable, really to say. So I do want to go through that one, and in preparation for the second Darksiders, which also has a remastered version, the Definitive Edition. I love how they name those, by the way. Even though I'm not necessarily certain that I will go straight from 1 to 2. Simply because this approach has proven to not be very efficient in games at the start of the series, because it works for Dead Space because it's a fairly short list of games, and those games are fairly short in and of themselves. Like I said, in the 20 to 30 hour range. With Darksiders, though, that is not the case, especially not with the second one. The second one is notoriously long. Oh, first one I'll probably give it something else. But, not really gonna think about it quite yet. Again, I'm gonna avoid making too many long-term plans, so I don't feel pressured into following through on them, because this is, of course, just my leisure time. And I do not want to be stressed about that as well. There is enough going on in real time, in real space, whatever you want to call it. So this is where I relax, this is where I find fulfillment, feeling of fulfillment, and blissful escapism. I do not want to be under pressure. I have some ideas, but we'll see what the mood will dictate when it gets there. I am, however, pretty certain that I will be going about the miniatures that I'll be painting. Although that might... that will probably be around March. I strongly doubt I'll be able to go through all of these models unless, or even at the 1 month mark from the start of the year, because at these 6 dudes are ready to be detailed. Detailing is not gonna go massively quickly. And I have these 4 guys that I'm base coating right now, and then we have the ogre. After all of them are done, all 19 models, then there are the finishing touches, such as the facing and numbering. And of course, the varnishing. And that will take a while. Maybe even March will be a little optimistic, because I don't know how much I'll be able to work on them off stream. I would like to keep up on the video game front as well. And also keep up some, well, at least make some sort of a board game schedule, if you will. Just spend a little bit more time playing board games, because that's a running issue. And if Hubert was around, he would most certainly chastise me on it. So one more layer on the face, and I think we're done with the fleshy bits. Again, following the Goliaths. Yo, Stick! Hello, dude! And a happy new year to you. May it be better, funner, and much smilier and sunnier than the last. How's it going, man? How's it going? Sorry, I've been away for the last few weeks. I've been taking a bit of a break, a little bit of off time. All good. That is great to hear. And now I am back with renewed and recharged miniature painting batteries. Yeah, turns out I kind of needed it. The last few streams of last year, I was kind of lacking in the energy department, finishing up a little bit earlier and not really doing all that much. So now, little by little, easing into it once again. How did you spend your holidays? Anything fun? Anything interesting? Like, been talking about the movies and the games, movies I've been watching and the games I've been playing. Painting is nice. Have you been printing stuff? And also, have you been playing around with the airbrush? 'Cause, from what I remember, that was kind of the main focus for a while. A bust. That's nice. Oh yeah, I saw the picture of it. The reading dude. Looks sweet. What other colors do we have here? Brown. Did you get to see some people again over the holidays, or were you mostly following quarantine and physical distancing? Or did you manage to catch up on social contacts as well? Stayed at home. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I did work in between the holidays as well. Just really was no point not to. It was fairly quiet, and I wouldn't say I needed to save the days for next year, but still, it's a nice thing. Yeah, starting things off with some base coating, just to remind myself how it is that a brush is to be held. Uh, ensure that I haven't forgotten how to put paint on them plastic dudesters. Again. Oh, did you make a list of New Year's resolutions? Being the popular question to ask in this period of the year. Or are you just gonna wing it and let things happen as they appear? Just wait for the opportunities and make the best of them as they show themselves. Oh, really? Like a GW made team? Why not? Do you not like the sculpts, or do you just not feel motivated for them? Because they are definitely not your standard dwarf models. Okay. Yeah, they are a bit unusual with the flying troll slayers. The guys that stand up, that are in the air and are perched on their beards. Those are definitely among the weirder ones and have been cause for a little bit of a controversy within the Blood Bowl community, whether or not this is cool or stupid. Personally, I don't mind them. I don't love them necessarily, because they are a little bit too blocky to me. I gotcha. Yeah, when you start off, it's a bit like it's easy for them for the rules to start making sense, but there is a little bit of a upward curve to get to actually know the things. I would suggest actually going through the video game first, although as well that game has a notoriously shitty tutorial. Yeah, it's not the easiest game to get into. I'm not gonna lie. It's just a bit shitty to get into it. It shows its colors after you've spent a little time with it. Either way, don't completely give up on it. Just wait for a burst of inspiration or just feel like it. There are some channels like in YouTube. There is a dude called Kanur who did how to play videos back in the day, back in the time where Blood Bowl Chaos Edition was a thing for the video game. That is a decent starting point. But they are far from perfect. All in all, the best way to learn is to sit down with someone who does play the game and just have a session or a couple sessions where someone explains and does test plays with you. I know that there is a very good community in Greece for Blood Bowl. We've actually been to the Euro Bowl with some dudes from Greece. They are very lovely chaps. They've invited us to a few tournaments that they held in Athens, I think it was. But we couldn't get organized to go, which is a shame. Well, it's not exactly like that. I think that the whole thing fell apart because it was supposed to be in the summer, so May or June of last year. And by that time, travel was just not happening. I definitely would have loved to see those guys again. So you can look around to see the dedicated Facebook community group. And there may be someone in your region who'd like to play um, with you once you are comfortable meeting people again. That's fine. It's all good. Personally, so I haven't still gotten my copy, the new copy of the rules. Again, we need to set up a meeting point with the rest of the people in the group and exchange whatever goodies we have. There is a new software being developed for keeping track of tournaments and leagues with compatible with the new rule set. So for this game in particular, it is definitely a transitory period. Perhaps not the actual best time for it to happen, but do. In addition, there is a new video game for Blood Bowl being in the works. We are expecting it to drop. Well, they announced that it'll drop early this year. I'm keeping my ears open for any updates on that matter, although I have my doubts. Probably gonna be early summer, honestly. But if you're looking for a easy board game to get into that has cool miniatures, I can definitely suggest Riot Quest. Very fun, it's quick to play, it's multiplayer, so I think it was up to 4 people, if I'm not mistaken. And games. It's kind of a dungeon crawler, but light, so very easy, very fun to play. Everyone has up to 4 little dudes, so really not that big of amount of models that you need to paint. They are all different, and they are based off of the Iron Kingdom, so the Privateer Press, fantasy and steampunk setting for War Machine and Hordes. Very easy, very light, very quick, very fun. I am myself thinking of getting into it, but with my current backlog of models, it's really not something that's gonna happen anytime soon. This is in fact part of my personal New Year's resolutions, which is to take a big old chill pill and just focus on the moment a little bit more instead of plotting, having a long-term commitments hobby-wise. Just let the paint flow the way it wants to flow. My time with it and have fun with it. Which is kind of what it should be to begin with. hobby and all. I wonder when we'll receive any actual information about how to go about music in streams. Because now they are supposed to have these live bots that will be monitoring constantly and can ban you during your live streams. And they have also transferred even more responsibility onto the streamer. So you can be fined, is considered to now be a actual felony. Is why I went and used the Stream Beats playlists by Harris Heller and Alpha Gaming Channel. He has been working on playlists, creating music that is copyright free to use for streaming purposes. And this year he will be making a dedicated studio for the creation of even more music for streaming. It's kind of cool. I would, however, like to see some official statements from actual Twitch and the MCA people to finally put this to sleep. Regulated, whatever, just give us something to go off on. Instead of having to live in the fear that you can be banned and be issued copyright strikes left and right. For the hubris, the arrogance of wanting to play music in your streams. And even though most of this massively applies for like larger streamers, and by larger I mean in dimensions that I don't think that there are miniature painters that cover that requirement at all. But still, there have been rumors that smaller streams have also been issued claims and strikes. So it is better to, at the very least, keep it in mind. Try and keep on the safe side, at least until any more information becomes available, as well as any resources to actually use. The weirdness. YouTube has much better mechanisms to deal with this. It seems baffling that Twitch cannot catch up to that. But it is what it is. Like, I've said this off stream on multiple occasions. I think it is time to mention it here as well. But at the end of the day, this is a free platform, and the fact that it even exists is something that should be acknowledged. And complaining about the limitations of a free to use platform for content creation is kind of stupid. Especially for people who actually make a living out of it. Let's face it, the professional approach to this whole thing would be, if you have your viewership, just build yourself a website, do whatever the hell you want over there. Instead of complaining about the tools that have been given to you for absolutely free. That is just my, it's an opinion on opinions, and that is in and of itself kind of stupid, so feel free to completely dismiss what I said. At the same time, it would be good to at the very least have decent understanding about how things work, in order to ensure that you don't get fined, fuck's sake. And the new TOS actually stated that you can go to jail for playing music on your stream, which, come on, that's a bit extreme in it. I strongly doubt something like that will ever transpire, but still, the mere fact that it's been mentioned as a viable possible outcome is ridiculous. Like, there is shitting your pants, and then there's shitting your shit like that. now that I think about it, I should get some white glue for the basing, because I didn't know this, but apparently white glue can go bad after a while, and since I had already thinned it out with water to begin with, got really nasty. So I had to throw out whatever I had. I never bothered to get more. The reason I'm saying this is because I was thinking about doing some basing next stream. So yeah, I might make a trip down to the hardware store and get some PVA glue. Would not have been a bad thing to have already done that, but being in equal parts forgetful and lazy does not help these things along, I'm gonna tell you that. Yeah, as you can see, just slowly and methodically moving across, moving over the models. And I really didn't feel like going for the patterns for the yellow and the green today, so I'm just gonna work on the most basic of the colors, the ones that are the exact same across all of the dudes that are left. Not sure how far I'll get today, but will be further than I would have been if I didn't do anything. So that's a step forward in the right direction. If you put down more paint on the palette when I'm base coating in batch. Something I'm going to correct right now. Because I have this very stupid approach where I want to conserve paint. And I don't realize that it's becoming less and less the amount of paint that I have on the palette, and as a result, the layers start becoming thinner and thinner. And I need to put more and more in the conservation of those 2 drops of paint that are probably not getting wasted in this process. I'm wasting a lot more time. Unnecessary layers. I am, however, glad to report that apparently the issues I've been experiencing with the dropping of frames has disappeared. I'm in a fairly stable stream today, no dropped frames at all, not even a single one. Maybe it was just witches shit. Who knows? We're almost through the Stream Beats playlist for Synthwave. And I'm gonna go to the EDM, which I suppose is going to include most of this one as well. Since this one is a shorter playlist, thought we'd start with it. Also, I'm loving these brushes. I do consider them to be a valuable addition to my arsenal. I might get some of the natural sable ones again from the Monument range. I think they were called Igniters. But I'm definitely pleased with all of them so far, so I've tried. And I'm currently still using them. The synthetic artillery, the high quality synthetics that I'm currently using, the Omwit dead cords. And I see quite a few painters, including Malev, Shinobi, that use. And apparently Sam Lance has started to use them as well, the Igniters. Size is good. The Tip is good. Troll is good. Paint flow is good. Yeah, definitely enjoying them quite a bit. Can argue that this may be a small-ish brush for the purposes of base coating, but kind of feels right because there are quite a few smaller details in these models. For a larger model, I would probably use a bigger brush. But this is okay. At some point, I'm just going to pick the sizes I use most from each range. I'll probably just stick to them from now on and stop this constant switching back and forth, trying out that many new brushes. So maybe trying to take a little bit better care of them wouldn't hurt. But the ones I'm currently using are definitely going to be a mainstay. Okay, so this size 3 dead cord, and this size 2 as well. Size 1 I'll probably skip and just keep one of the very, very small ones just for the sake of having one. From the synthetics, I'm really pleased with the number 2 as well. And we'll see what the igniters bring to the table as well. That's gonna be at some point during the year. Currently fairly well stocked brushes. Washing more often than I currently. Hopefully they will stick around for longer. Before the end of last year, I got an update on my paint range, some more of the Pro acryls, and I will start introducing more of them in the next projects. I will be transitioning off of the Citadel paints as much as possible. Just for the sake of it, really. I mean, it's just a matter of personal convenience, I believe. You can very well do everything with anything. It's hobby. You have, however, been given the opportunity to explore and find your own what suits your approach best. Because people say style, but wouldn't say that it's necessarily a style. More like just the general approach and your personal expectations of how paint should behave and what you do with it. And while for base coating and GW stuff, okay. When it comes to fine layering and glazing, it drops the ball, or at least it's harder for me to do it with Citadels than it is with the Pro Acryls. And while they are good for base coating, the paint range isn't necessarily suited for painting from dark to light. Not that many really dark colors for nice shadows. You can cook them up, of course, but Pro Acryl just has a better selection of darker colors. The, of course, selection would be the Chimera range with their super saturated colors. And I think that they are the people that are more technically proficient than myself in order to make them work best. So, Pro Acryl is pretty much for me. Doing it for time, we are 2-hour mark, kinda, is close to. I will go over the brown on this model. And then the next, although I should have gone for the red because it's a smaller detail, could have gone through all of the models because brown pretty prominent surface wise, dominating. As a result, getting a little bit slower and building up a little bit more fatigue. Made a little bit of a change to my workout schedule for this year. That until we start with the karate once again, with right now doing any of it, I will will be doing the lighter workouts, so mostly jogging and running on the days that I'm doing the streams. So I avoid the shakier hands. Because I can see that my hands are kind of shaky today as well, although there really isn't a reason for it, which is kind of weird. Whoops, whoops, whoops. And this was a song outside of the playlist, which means that I might be struck down by the man. Not necessarily the type of music I'd be listening to otherwise, although to an extent. Especially the synthwavy stuff. Like, it does contribute to this, even though it's supposed to be an EDM playlist. Give enough more of a poppy vibe, which some viewers might take issue with. But again, it is what it is. And call this a transitory period as well until the whole debacle has been manageable brackets. Have a working alternative or just a working way to safely play music. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I enjoy listening to music both while painting and while watching streams. So I enjoy watching streams with music. And there was an argument made that you can just play your music wherever you want. That's not necessarily being played on the stream, but it's kind of an additional hassle to go through, which cannot be bothered with. Oh yeah. I always get this strap, the one shoulder plate right here. Let's go over the red as well while we're at it. So I'll be going through all of the available selections from Stream Beats. Well, not all of them. 3 out of the 4. Fourth one is just pure hip hop. It's definitely going to. With some of the regulars. I would have very much liked to play the Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack for you guys today. Because it's a very fond personal memory of mine. We used to have this music show where they would play movie soundtracks with just thematic evenings that have to do with heavier music. And well, no, there weren't. Actually, there were whole weekends. One of these weekends, I used to tape them as well. That was the so-called Evil Soundtracks weekend, where this soundtrack was featured. And like I said, I did watch Freddy vs. Jason over the course of these. Sorry, I've been talking for a little while too long, or apparently I've lost some training in that regard. It would have been a good thing, just a good theme to play for you today. But again, call me a coward if you will, but I am not paying a fine playing music for you guys, so we'll be listening to some less than usual styles for a little while. Or for not such a little while until this. Because they sure as hell couldn't manage to deal with it within the span of an entire year, so who the hell knows? They will manage it this year. So far, they've only been making the consequences more severe and the trackability more automated. Who the hell knows? I know I don't. So this brush allows me to control the detailing, like these ridges a little bit better, minimizing the spill, bleeding of color over surfaces I don't necessarily want to have paint on, which means that it is more possible, closer to possible, to avoid the stage of touching up base colors that is kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. I switched over to the red just because I was getting a bit bored of the brown and slowed things down a little bit. So why not introduce the red for a little while? with the red on one model, start with the red on another model. It's a small breakup of space, but it does help out when you are batch painting. Even in cases like these where the batches are small. I'm currently working on 4 models at a time, so I'm really not big on batch painting, gonna be honest. It does, however, help. Benefits are undeniable. Hello, Hubert. Happy New Year. How's it going, dude? Have you made your list of New Year's resolutions, or do you not intend to do that at all? Thanks, man. Thank you. Really? Wow, okay. I mean, it's cool that you get work, but as long as it doesn't wear you out too much. No lists. Okay, so wing it as it comes. Come whatever. We'll deal with it when we get there. Attitude. Nothing wrong with that. Have you made any progress on the painting? Or were you busy at work? Yikes. Well, okay. Yeah, that's kind of inevitable, I guess. Oh. Wow, so it really is a significant increase. Yeah. The initial struggles. Yeah, and me, since I haven't been doing any painting for the last couple of weeks, I decided to start slow and just go from base coats again. Because I do have these dudes for detailing, but I just opted to do something simpler to start off the year and get in the groove of it. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Naki, thanks for the lurk. Hope you're doing fine and that you would have a much better year than the previous one. Thank you. Much appreciated. Finally get to go through some games, and yeah, I'll be repeating myself, but I've been mostly rambling on up until now, and I will be repeating myself for a few topics. Uh, that's how it goes when there's not that much happening. So I went through Dead Space 1 and 2 over the holidays, and they were a very, very pleasant experience. To the point where I'm kind of disappointed that I waited for so long to actually sit down and play them. Like, throughout. Yeah, and I'm close to beating the third one as well. That turned out to be a bit longer than the other ones, and a bit more different. Where 1 and 2 are closer to Resident Evil 4, and the third one is closer to Resident Evil 6 gameplay wise, so more shoot banging and a bit longer, maybe a bit unnecessarily so, but again, overall, I did enjoy 1 and 2, and I'm okay with the third one as well. It gives you some very cool options, some not so cool options, but overall, a very positive vibe. I was able to finally get to watch Brazil, and I definitely get why you recommended it. Unfortunately, I had seen quite a few movies who have adopted the original aspects, you know, the things that made Brazil stand out and have probably influenced those other movies. And so it didn't seem that groundbreaking when I watched it, but I can see that if for its era and for the time when it was released, this was truly, truly groundbreaking stuff. And as a matter of fact, the tropes and the twists are one of my favorites, the favorite types of twists and tropes. Oh, that's cool. Do you have any idea in particular, like for a brand, at least, or are you gonna start looking once you feel like you have a comfortable budget? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Again, now if you look at it now, it does come off a little bit ham-fisted, because we've seen that done other places, but these other places have actually used this movie as an inspiration for it. So it's kind of hard to appreciate it outside of our current contexts. Get what I mean? So to try and watch it as if these things were seen for, well, if not the first time, then in this particular cocktail of a mix. Yeah, okay, so budget first and then see what's up. Good plan. Also, Um, I think that if you wait until, let's say, halfway through the year ish, at least, you will have a lot better options because of the new generation of both CPUs and GPUs that are coming out and that are having. Yeah, I get you. I totally get you. So the laptops will start employing the new specs available and will become a bit more purchasable. Because right now, the thing is, the demand for some of the components is so high that there isn't enough in terms of manufacturing. And so a lot of people are just sitting on their thumbs waiting for their stuff to become purchasable. It's available for purchase, that is. And so if you wait a little bit and supply saturates the market, you'll have much better options. Yeah, I recently watched a video about which components you really need to focus on. And yeah, 16 gigs of RAM would be, I think, the golden spot. You don't need more than that. Uh, Due to how things work. And while these advices were aimed at desktop PC users, I think the majority of them can fairly well apply to laptops as well. As a matter of fact, let me just share that right away. It's a good watch. Just, I know it's early, and it's just overall component guide advice, so it's good on every level to have a look at. Let me just quickly link it if I can dig it up. Oh, no problem. As I've mentioned, I'm also thinking about what to do, whether or not to make the jump, new tech, or stay around and drain all I can, any drop of juice this machine has. Hmm. Was that it?
What's up, guys? Jason.
Nope. Mhm. Ah, there it is. That was the one. Yeah, even if it's not exactly that one, I will back to you. It's still a very good channel to follow on the topic. Maybe in my history. Sure thing. Yeah, okay. And I feel conscious now that I've mostly blown my load of topics before I get anyone live to discuss them with. And what are you gonna do? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's something I touched on with going through too many games of the same type, or a series of games. You kind of get to burn out a little bit, so you have to keep things fresh there in that department as well. World of Horror, what's this? Is it a game or just a general portal for all things horror related? A very stylish game, alright. Let me bookmark this for a later research. Oh yeah, I gotcha. I think I actually watched some playthroughs of it where you can effectively build your own adventure type of thing. Yeah, yeah, and some different filters as well. I remember you can set to have yellowish and purple, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that was really actually pretty cool one. Um, I think it's no, it doesn't always have to do with the old ones. So you had to build or randomly generate 4 scenarios where you have to beat. A really really good concept. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said I saw a few playthroughs. Yeah, and it's the narrative that builds the scare and the tension of the gameplay, uh, not just the visuals and stuff. Let's say Happy New Year. Hope it comes with tons of health, tons of smiles, and may it be a much better year than the last, which is not saying much, but still. How's it going, man? What's up? How'd you spend the holidays? Did you manage to finish up the renovation projects before the holidays started, or are there still a few things to touch up on? Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's what I figured. It's kind of the time where you have to, you have to forcefully do things on the inside, which does open quite a few options. That honest. Yeah, that's a thing. Don't you use gloves when you're lifting the weights? Absolutely. More hardcore is more better. I just decided to give myself a little bit of a time off, both from painting and working out and everything in between, for these couple of weeks to just recharge the batteries, binge some movies, and play some video games, and not think about anything. Went down pretty good, not gonna lie. Okay, got you. Oh, that's nice. Like pull-ups and the sort. Use some of the community bars. Yeah, that's all right. Either way, it's one of those personal preference kind of things, you know. Beside the Red Army Monument. Oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is they built these open air gyms with a few types of like composite exercise machines. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's just that I kind of started doing it with the gloves, and now it's kind of I feel naked if I don't put on gloves for that. It's really silly, but it's kind of like when you stop going to school and you stop carrying a backpack, you feel like there is an unusual lightness to your back. Oh, don't be like that. There's literally nothing shameful about that, and as an added fact, they are made for that purpose. Like the whole construction there is made for that purpose. Absolutely. Only thing about those two machines is that they're not weighted, and so I'm not really sure if they can provide a decent enough workout. But if you can get anything out of them, then that's a plus. Yeah, there you see. Yeah. Well, there are a ton of factors to take in, like learning the form and just your body getting more acquainted with the actual motion as well. It's not just the physical ability that improves. It's also improving your form, to say it bluntly. And it immediately allows you to work with higher with more weights. Yeah, that's what I said. They are composite. I don't know if that's the proper term in English, but yeah. They don't isolate particular muscles. They are for like a general workout, and they would be very good for high intensity stuff. Compound, that's right. That's right. Thank you. Pause it. As usual, my brain is running all over the place. Yeah, 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 well, these machines are perfect to get you in, like, get you prepared for heavier exercises because they do wonders for joints and tendons without too much actual weight to move around, but at the same time, develop the actual motion and clean and jerk. Yeah, yeah. And dead weights and all that. Deadlifts. Real. Yep. 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 I think wrestlers, like actual wrestlers, uh, like Olympic wrestlers, use a lot of compound for just overall body thickening instead of isolating groups. Yep, that circle trainings are good. Yeah, bodybuilders, we are definitely not. Which is where if you can isolate a single muscle on a single finger, you do that. 'Cause you're all about that hypertrophy. And another thing about it is that isolated exercises are boring as shit. Yeah, no, no, it's again, just compound exercises. I think was where we started off. Really? In the 60s. Really? Was it all the way back in the 60s? Because I think that the first real beefcake, so to say, movement was around the 80s. But I guess it had to have started even earlier than to gain that traction and that speed, get to that point. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of retro wrestling reviews and the whole development of all the debacle with the steroid use and introducing the laws against using steroids within bodybuilding and all that. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Makes sense. Okay. Where that old school system, I think, culminated in the north, like where the actual, I think the current strongman strength athlete training, not athletes, but competitions are held. You know, the ones with the Atlas balls and Yeah, true, true. Oh, really? Okay. I'm way off. Chronologically wise. Still, at the end of the day, anything that gets you off your ass and gets you to sweat a bit, especially in our overall sitting down system. Holy shit, you're kidding me. Oh wait, you mean the actual Hercules? Because we were talking about Arnold and I was thinking about Hercules in New York. Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Let me see when Hercules in New York was made, because that's an interesting. Um, it would be interesting to see how long it took him to get started and to get to the physique that he had in that movie. Because I think that was his first American-made movie. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Holy shit! 1970. Really? Holy shit! It is 1970. Wow, that's old. So yeah, a solid decade. To get pumped up. Pretty cool trivia, though. I do like it. We get to discuss these things. I'm not always particularly prepared, but still, it's always an enriching experience. But yeah, but to summarize, Hubert, kudos for starting to work out in general. And as with the hobby, I had to have fun with it. Yep. A very good plan to get to that. And also, now there is just so much material on the matter, both in video and literary form. So you can be a lot more efficient in what you're doing. Dude, you were never fat. But I get the ambition, so alright. Hydration is easy. I think it's becoming a issue everywhere, and it's really counterintuitive considering that just how much fitness has developed and how much it has gained popularity over the course of the last, let's say, 5 years or so. That with that, in proportion, the obesity in like in Europe and here as well has been increasing. So I don't know what that means. You're getting more of the two extremes and less of the like regular middle. It is very possible, yeah. Although that's a trend I've been watching, like I said, over about 5-ish years, I think. It started with some trends in just overall healthy lifestyle and healthy eating, and it blended into a very, very pronounced fitness fad. And by fitness, I mean gym going. That is true. Yeah, that is true, and it's really sad. And if you think about it, a lot of students in school often neglect PE as a class. And as a result, it gets treated by the teachers themselves less. And you skip out on these just regular basics. Vitamin Cheetos. Yeah. Which also came in very handy in life, right? Anyway, that is a completely, well, not a completely different thing, but you know, subject sufficiently and close to. Yeah, it all boils down to making basically just a habit of it. Doesn't have to be extreme, not in the slightest, just consistent, and it will carry you for the 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 longer part of your lifespan. Trigonometric, yeah, truly an everyday thing. And I am sorry that the music isn't quite exactly what we usually listen to here, but with the new terms of service, it's gonna be like this for a while. Now, and I quote the actual terms of service, you can now go to jail for playing music on Twitch, or at least get fined. And these are the only absolutely 100% safe playlists that I can find. Until Twitch finally comes up with a working alternative, this is what's going to be in the background for a while. Of knowledge of average countrymen. Oh yeah, yeah. It is also very much catered to a very different. Nope. No, because it also has um it is also copyrighted. But yeah, the local overall general habits are catered to a very different lifestyle that isn't like a very physical labor intensive lifestyles, which we haven't had for a century or so. And if we were to follow those, we would literally just explode. Yeah, true, true. That is a good idea. I'm gonna look for something that maybe on SoundCloud or somewhere I can find some independence. Um, independent underground music. Oof. I, this specific playlist, I doubt even for Necromunda. That yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll dig through SoundCloud and was it? Yeah, okay. More riotous type, rebellious in nature. We'll make it work. Because the thing is, now they have actually launched bots that can screen your music while you're streaming, so while you're live, and they can cut your stream while you're live. Like they've really tightened that shit down, and as usual, haven't given a single point of alternative. Um, and I know that Harris Heller is doing music that is made with the singular purpose of being played on stream. Yep. Most of this stuff here is old style anyway. So that's what I defaulted to, but that is a good idea, looking into some independent, like truly independent music that they wouldn't give a fuck about being played here. Yeah, that's an interesting one. So a lot of it you destroyed while you stream. And some of the newer games are starting to have a streamer-friendly mode, such as the infamous Cyberpunk 2077. It came out with the option to have a streamer-friendly music mode where it only plays on. Yeah, however, CD Projekt Red did not do a good job with that mode, and so there were a few areas in the game that even if you're playing it under the stream-friendly music option, it still got you fragged and banned. So yeah. And of course, there is the case where someone got banned because he whispered on his stream, and the frequency of his whispers were reminiscent, so the bots registered it as a ASMR album. I shit you not, someone is actually doing ASMR albums out there. That is obviously copyrighted, and if you whisper on your stream, someone can think that this is part of this album and demonetize your video on YouTube. Think about that. That's how idiotic it has become. Yeah, stuff like that. Very hard. Let's see, very hard. Humming a song gets detected right. So, by the way, you do realize just how proficient these, because these are all automated machines that react, that target these copyrights, how sophisticated they must be to pick up whispers and humming to associate it with the song. Because even stuff like Shazam and the stuff does not work that way. that reliably. This is getting ludicrous. Absolutely. But, it is what it is. No, the rules are going to last. What is going to change, hopefully soon, is to give us some alternatives to that. Either create specialized Spotify accounts that are a little bit more expensive but but give you broadcasting rights, because that's the whole thing. If you can buy broadcasting rights without actually having to buy separate licenses for each song or each band that you're playing, that would be. Was that? Yeah. Yeah. Good one. Right on the money. Well, let's push on for, let's say, 20-ish more minutes. I think we did good today. Not if you take the battery out, yeah. Oh, nature sounds, I think there are, like the ASMR album, there are these albums of soothing sounds that you play to fight. Not the album, lol. Well, there are albums of that too. Who's to say? No, actually, for the moment, there really isn't any option apart from this one. And yeah, probably very, very underground and absolutely independent. Uh, and at the same time, original. Because if I were to just play the that punk band that you sent me with the Iron Maiden and Metallica covers, yeah, that's not gonna fly. It has to be actual original music, even if it's a couple of accords. Yeah, I'll be looking around for that. That's a nice idea, actually. Bringing some variety. I'll try the lo-fi playlist next time, because there is a lo-fi one as well. By the same, again, the Stream Beats, as it's called. And he'll be putting out a lot more music this year. But it's still fairly limited. Drunk vulgar metalheads. Well, that doesn't explain that to the fucking machine, right? And unlike YouTube, you don't have a mechanism for debating copyright claims. You just eat it, and that's it. On YouTube, you can file a counterclaim and start. You always lose, but you have the ability to raise that. Here, not so much. Hello, Kaminsky. What's up? And a happy new year to you. May it be better and sunnier than the last one. Yeah, band albums. Unfortunately, the reason these albums are mostly banned are going to get me kicked out on different grounds. Mostly related to the topics contained within. But yeah, do keep firing those ideas. 'Cause I haven't thought about the option of really finding absolute. Yeah, I'm definitely losing my brain right now. Independent music was the word I was looking for. To explore the boundaries of what I can be fined for. Yeah. Yeah, I think that for the time being, the safe than sorry method is going to be the better option. Any further development has been confirmed. Not I. We'll see, we'll see. I'll be looking around whenever I got some spare time. There were also several cases where the artists themselves allowed the music to be played. Like, they did provide written consent to the streamers. But then it turns out that the record labels and the rights owners, who happen to not be the actual artist performing the music, didn't consent to that, and that eventually led to a copyright strike as well. So it's really all sorts of bullshit. Yeah, I think that's gonna be a thing. Like, there are already quite a few playlists that claim to be copyright free or royalties free or just stream friendly, but for the majority of them, you don't really know if that's the case. And like I said, the most probable option will be that there will be accounts in just subscriptions to music platforms that have broadcasting rights assigned to them. And until that happens, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's gonna become a thing. I'm pretty sure that it's gonna become a thing. It's a matter of when the witch hunt will end and actual like solutions will start to be developed. Yeah. Because you realize that if I were to actually contact a record label and ask for buy license for playing music, that would be ridiculously expensive. And limited, so just a no-go. And again, I am being a little bit overcautious since I'm a very small streamer, and all of that pretty much applies to streamers with a much larger audience, and by that I mean larger than any miniature streamer out there. We're talking about something in the thousands in terms of concurrent viewership, but still, you never know. I would just like to avoid having these issues. Oh, cool. Yeah, but that would mean these ones are safe for YouTube. And like I said, YouTube is currently a few light years ahead of Twitch in terms of its licensing. So you have no idea what's going to grab the attention of the hungry robots. And they are, yeah, mostly it's something like this or lo-fi stuff. Pretzel Rocks used to be a reliable source of music, but not anymore. I don't think. I don't know, actually. I haven't heard about anyone being copyrighted from Pretzel Rocks, but I wouldn't want to be the first one. So what was that then? I can buy the ability to play Bulgarian music. That's not bad. I try that as well. To spritz a little bit of local and cultural aspect to the whole thing. Enrich the stream with some cultural background. Who knows? Then again, even if you do obtain these licenses, there is still no way to notify to notify Twitch that you have these licenses or this consent or approval. and avoid getting struck. It would be a fact of you will get copyrighted, you will get banned, and then you need to notify them as part of a on-set discussion that you actually can play that. So it would be another hassle to go through for now. It's just a lot of bullshit right now. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that raises a lot of ethical questions in terms of how many clubs and establishments that play music do you think have broadcasting rights, right? Because I'm gonna go ahead on a whim and say that that's none of them. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll keep that. Thanks, dude. Driving the road with boomboxes, absolutely. No, it's getting ridiculous, and it's so obviously a money grabbing scheme that it's painful. Well, in the US, maybe, but I can assure you that this isn't the case here. Okay. But that's again in the case of a DJ, like a local cafe that's playing just random playlists would not have gotten these licenses. And is not playing a radio because, you know, the radio would be safe. Listen to, I think. Wow. What, for playing the Disney movies? Like children's movies? In schools? That's. I would say that that's next level stuff, but it's really becoming commonplace. Yikes. Absolutely. Creating revenue generating solutions to problems that they themselves create in the first place. And we used to be taught that demand is what created supply. Hasn't been the case for decades. But anyway, that is a little bit too conspirative. I'll be finishing up on this boot and then calling it for the evening. Got any ideas for someone to raid? Anyone that's currently online doing stuff? Maybe someone new. Alright, let's see. See who's on. Ooh, quite a few people. Epic Duck is on. I don't think we've ever rated Mike before. So, why not? Alright, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking around with me. I'll see you again on Wednesday. And until then, keep doing what you love and loving what you do. I've been Budget Colio, signing out. Bye bye, guys.